After the Tezpur expedition on bicycle, I and Animesh returned home to leave the mundane schedule every day. Life was boring. What was supposed to be the last tour turned out to be the first. New Year came, new plans, new place, and a few friends united by the passion for cycling and travelling. Animesh from Tezpur, DHRUBAJYOTI from Bongaigaon, Joyan and Gopal from Jorhat, and I. We decided to go to the only hill station of Assam, Haflong. Animesh, DHRUBAJYOTI, Gopal and I started one foggy morning in January from Animesh's place in Milanpur. Some of our friends accompanied us to the Koliabhumra bridge. At Koliabor, we teamed up with Joyan, who came from Jorhat. At Amoni, we halted for our breakfast of tea, paratha and some curry. Cheap food, which is what we look for while travelling, turns out to be something we take our taste buds on a tour for. Lunch happened at Sugandhi Hotel near the Nagaon bypass. The Assamese thali and witty remarks of Gopal was just what we needed to fill our stomachs and our broken spirits with. Afternoons are always lazy, and we felt lazier due to our filled stomachs. So we halted on the highway after crossing the Boka and watched a football match. Moments like this later become memories. And we paddled because we had a mammoth 40 kilometers to cover in the evening. Paddling across places with unusual names, a corner of Assam virgin to our eyes, we reached Lanka. Lanka was confusing to me. Lanka was confused. Every other person I stopped for inquiring about hotels ended up saying that he was new to the place. Finally, found a cheap hotel in the small town at a cheap rate. Had dinner there itself, but the food was inedible due to the horrible display of pieces of chicken, though it was cheap. And then we crashed. New morning brought new hopes and a lot of energy. Packing up at Lanka, the five of us began for the day, not knowing what fate had in store for us. Tea break happened at a nearby hotel, and then the journey began. Riding through the forest, looking at the species of monkey, totally new to our eyes, and very infrequent visits by localites, we moved on. Forests soon changed into vast farmlands of sugarcane on both the sides of the road. Most families depend on sugarcane farming and production of gur or jaggery for their livelihood. Curious explorers as we were, we entered one of the houses and found out the way from sugarcane to gur. Entering the Mahasau, we learned a bit of local terms. Gahamphai means welcome and Juthai means thank you, for instance.
We come from Tezpur and we are going to Haflong.
Soon climbs began, the massive ones. Unlike the Himalayan roads, climbs here had more gradient. At one point, I got hold of Animesh's road bike and left the entire crew some 2-3 kilometers behind me, only to be left alone in the beautiful place amidst the hills. So I am on the tour of Haflong with my friends, cyclists across Assam. So I actually took Animesh's road bike. Yes, recently restored it. It was in a shitty condition. It was a mess, but then I, we just restored it and then bought. So that's it. Some bikers are coming around. Let's go ahead and look who's coming. So that's it. I guess so. I'm seeing these guys. They are coming really. They're there. Me riding in hilly roads meant a lot of wear and tear in the brake pads, since I am not in a good term with downhills. Some local auto wala happened to pass through the same road, and unable to resist his curiosity, he finally stopped and had a few words with us before leaving. We left too. Life in NC Hills is tough. Water supply facility is very poor. So are other basic amenities like education, health and electricity. Children became curious on seeing us and took their tires on a tour for quite some distances. This took me on a tour through my own childhood.
Everything changes.
Sunset on the hills are quite beautiful, and we got to treat our eyes. As usual, the evening saw us in trouble, looking for accommodation and in the small village of Dirabi, we found a guy who agreed to host us for the night and feed us at a very cheap and reasonable price. Both of Animesh's bike had flat, as usual, and he repaired one of it, leaving other for the next morning. And at dinner, hungry as we were, the plate of rice with egg and potato seemed everything we needed after a day's ride without food. We pitched our tents in the courtyard and finally slept. The third morning saw us meeting a lot of curious neighbors and answering their questions, the most common being, "Sarkar phalor pora kiba poan nai?" Animesh repaired his other flat and everything was said again. Bid our goodbyes to the villagers of Diderby and thanked them for hosting us. And we jumped on a saddle to pedal. Animesh, on the other hand, had a tough time pedaling his single-speed road bike on the raised uphill roads with a backpack on his back.
There comes this massive up, which he is going to do as well. Salute Animesh.
DHRUBAJYOTI was having his own struggle pushing the loaded MTB, my B-twin, uphill. After 6 kilometers of climbing and sloping, we reached a bridge which by far had been the most amazing place. Amidst the greener mountains of Ansi Hills was this place at its optimum green, blowing a fresh gust of wind. Spending some time there, we began again. At Dehangi, we stopped for breakfast of boiled egg, roti, sabzi and tea. The day went just like that.
Boria.
Most of it on the saddle and some of it resting on the trees or anyway we found some shade. Viewpoints made it easier for us. We just had views to see and fatigue to wash off. The sunset that evening was one of the most beautiful sunsets we'd ever seen. Some 8 to 10 kilometers before reaching Haflong, we took a tea break. Reaching Haflong and checking into hotel was easier than we thought. That night we had chicken, rice and a lot of locally made curry, but we missed our home, more because it was Uruka. Haflong, though a beautiful town and a hill station, had seen a lot of exploitation. That morning, we left the hotel room early and began exploring after breakfast. Haflong was yet to wake up. The Haflong lake, just like Kol Park and Padum Pokhuri in Tezpur, was beautiful. Childhood returned and we enjoyed not caring that others care. DHRUBAJYOTI too voiced his opinion about his experience on this tour.
এটা কেনেকুৱা পাইছে হাফলং আহি কিনে?
প্ৰথম কথা হৈছে আমি 3 দিনত আহি পালো সাইকেল দূৰত হাফলঙলৈকে ওলাইছিলো তেজপুৰৰ পৰা। ৰাস্তাটো ভালে আছিল কিন্তু মাজতে অলপ বেয়া, অলপ মানে ভালেখিনি বেয়া বাৰু, আৰু ডাউনহিলত খুব ভাল লাগিছে আৰু হাফলঙত আহি যিখিনি আশা কৰিছো সেই হিচাপে পাইছো।
হাফলং আহক, টুৰিজিম প্ৰমোট কৰক, অসমৰ অনলি হিল ষ্টেচন। চ' যদি সেইটোৱে নাথাকে, সদায় মেঘালয়, শ্বিলং, টাৱাং গ'লে এইটো নহ'ব, নিজৰ জেগাকো কেতিয়াবা গুৰুত্ব দিব।
We returned to our room before heading out for the day. If Tezpur and other cities have tempos, then Haflong has its own autos. There were too many of them. We hired an auto and started for the day. We started with the Presbyterian Church of Haflong, which is somewhat same as the ones I actually saw in movies, and some viewpoint near the church, which enables one to look at the whole town. We then rode to the ethnic village of Jatinga Valley on the auto. The ethnic village, which actually was a park, had beautiful models of ethnic cottages built in and around Haflong. The park was beautiful too. In front of it lay the mighty ranges of the Barel Mountains and behind the Jatinga Valley. After having our own time there, we rode back to the hotel. As dusk was beginning to fall, the night saw us playing card game and having conversations. Joran and Gopal, owing to their duty and college, decided to take a bus back to Jorhat, and Navajyoti, Animesh and I decided to ride back to Tezpur. Leaving Haflong was an emotional moment for us. Animesh's MTV, the Tegra gang, had some major alignment issues owing to his style of riding, which is done mostly on bumpy road-like structure called potholes, in spite of having a smooth road nearby. So he decided to tow his bike all the way to Lamding, since there was not a single shop of cycle in Haflong. He had his own experience doing a tractor journey while towing his bike from Silchar diversion to Lamding, a distance of 120 kilometers. Seems painful going by the state of road under construction. Navajyoti and I was having our own good time. Animesh had a hard time dealing with a tractor driver who had the obsession for smoking weed every half an hour.
So the ৰাস্তাটো ইমান ইয়াতে বেয়া যে মই ইভেন চাইকেলৰ পৰা নামি কিনে চাইকেলখন ঠেলি নিয়াটো ডিচাইড কৰিছোঁ। জেগাবোৰ ধুনীয়া হয় কিন্তু ইয়াতে টুৰিষ্ট প্লেচ বুলি কোৱা হয়, কিন্তু ইয়াতে টুৰিষ্ট আহিব কিয় এনেকুৱা যদি ৰাস্তাই থাকে। So that's it, the government should pay more heed, making the roads better. Making Priyanka Chopra the brand ambassador of Assam tourism won't help. But if they, pay more heed on, the work is going on, but slow progress. That's what I'd like to give you on this. It's quite tough. I have to push my cycle all the way down because I cannot afford to do more brake pads.
The road was in a totally city condition. That day, Nabo and I had some time dealing with a mob of drunkards who thought us to be foreigners and almost forced us for taking a selfie with them. Places with some really unpronounceable names turned up while we were pedaling to reach Lamding. At one point of time, the construction sites began again, and I literally looked like I had wrestled with some swine on a mud pit.
ভৰিখন ডুবি গৈছে ইমান ধূলি এণ্ড এতিয়া আমি এটা ঠেলি নিম। মোৰ ভৰিখনৰ অৱস্থা দেখিলে উইল বি লাইক ফাক ই কেনেকৈ ঠেলি আছে দে, লাইক দেখিছা নাই ৰাস্তাৰ অৱস্থা। অ' মাই গুডনেছ, গাহৰিৰ সৈতে মল্লা যুঁজ খেলি আহিছোঁ বুজিছা। ৰাস্তাৰ কণ্ডিশ্যনটো তোমালোকে দেখিলাই চাগে কিমান বেয়া। এটা ৰাস্তা দি এতিয়া ঠেলি নিব লাগিব।
At some place, we also saw some person sitting in a JCB and break the hill without any prior warning to the passerbys. That sounds risky. Soon, the sun set in the horizon, and we reached Lamding, where Animesh was waiting for us. Lamding was hope, because all through the road, while groping in diversions through forest areas and revealing Nabo my fears of getting kidnapped there, was heard. After riding for around 14 hours, when we finally reached the city and booked a room, it was like victory. Food, irrespective of taste, is always anything which the stomach will digest easily, because a day without proper meal and intense cycling can be hungry and tiresome. The sixth morning, we had 150 kilometers and more than ample time because we were to reach home to have Maya banai thua ruti mangkha. Filled with new energy, we sat on our saddle and took the way back home. After some 20-25 kilometers of riding through forests amidst the foothills of NC Hills, we reached the plains. Home was still a long way to go. Plains meant insane traffic and noise and pollution, but somehow, bearing all that, we rode on. We rode on through the noon, the evening, and even when it darkened in a slow pace. There were moments when vehicles passed us, and we had narrow escapes. But somewhere within, these odds make bicycle touring awesome. All this make bicycle touring an adventure of uncertainty, yet an adventure worth living. Because even if we die doing this, we die living.